I was sent the Meike 35mm updated version, the 1.4 version, quite a while ago now actually, and I've been sort of taking it out intermittently to try and sort of get some thoughts on it for you. Well, let's see. Let's have a frank discussion about these 1.2, 1.4, 1 point whatever manual focus lenses that are very affordable. Yes, technically the lens can go to 1.4, but it's not going to be nearly as sharp as a more expensive lens or a lens by Panasonic, Sigma, Olympus, etc. If getting a 1.4 lens sharp, wide open, without chromatic aberration, etc. was easy, I think lenses in general would be a lot cheaper. So go into this with realistic expectations. At 1.4 you do get more chromatic aberration, it is quite soft, but I still think it's also usable. You know, if you want precision, if you want pin sharp at 1.4, perhaps look elsewhere, but if you want the option in those circumstances where you need low light performance or shallow depth of field, it's good. But probably assume that you'll be shooting at 2.8 or more closed apertures more often than 1.4. in my experience. As usual with the Meike lenses, the build quality is great, it's mostly metal, it's completely manual focus, so there's no electronic communication with the camera. The focus rings and aperture rings are very smooth and lovely to use, though I did find the focus ring on this one a little bit long. It's like sort of a full 180 degrees when you turn it, and sometimes if you're in sort of higher pressure environments where you need to get the focus quickly, you can sometimes find yourself hunting, particularly if you're shooting wide open. I found shooting wide open, the focus peaking on my camera sometimes didn't sort of illuminate what was going on enough because it is a little bit softer. So you can knock down the sensitivity of your focus peaking, or stop down the lens and get focus and then open it back up. There are ways around it, but I did find focusing quickly a little bit of an issue. So this is not a lens where you would, you know, take quick shots from the hip. You do have to be a little bit more considered with your shots. But I don't think that's a bad thing. Everything has a time and a place. With the full frame equivalent of 70mm, I do think this lens will shine as a portrait lens, but it's also not too narrow that you can't take it out and about with you. I did find low light, it was very, very good. Just a little bit soft in parts, particularly around the edges. But as I say, it's always handy to have a 1.4 option, even if it's not something that we're going to dip into all the time. I sometimes feel like I'm being a little bit harsh on these lenses because for the price of them, you really can't knock them. But I just wanted to be honest with my findings. I don't want people to buy this and go, my God, it's the equivalent of the Lumix 25 1.4, because it's not in that same category at all. However, it is still usable, it's pleasing, I find the colours very nice, the bokeh's very nice. It doesn't actually suffer from flaring half as bad as some other manual focus lenses that I've used. And I do find sort of when it's stopped down, it is incredibly sharp. So there are so many good points to this lens, as well as a few things that you need to just be aware of. The original version of this lens was a 1.7. And now I'm really glad with the updated version they've gone for 1.4. There's also been optical sort of precision and enhancements throughout, so if you have got the older one, this may be worth upgrading to anyway. If you have neither, then definitely look for this one when you're shopping around. As usual, the sort of manual focus element with the smooth rings makes this very handy for video. I find that with photography sometimes I prefer more of a clicky aperture, just so I know where I am and so it doesn't drift. But it's not too bad, it's just a matter of looking for 2 seconds to see where you're up to if you lose where you're up to in the aperture ring. In terms of style, I think like with all the Meike lenses, they look really nice and sort of vintage on most camera bodies, particularly smaller camera bodies. This is a very slender 35mm lens, and I've had a lot of fun using it. It's one that you can stick in your bag and use as and when. If this is a focal length that you don't have a dedicated lens for, like if you've only got a stock lens that's a little bit slower, then it's a good way to dip your toe into getting a prime lens because they don't cost a lot at all, and the results that you can get are very, very good. If you have any questions about the lens, do let me know, and I hope you enjoyed the sample photos, etc. Thank you so much for watching.